Good evening. My name is Ramit Sethi. I'm the CEO of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And tonight, the title was, How Can I Start a Business If I Can't Even See Somebody in Person? But guess what? I decided, no, we're gonna change the topic because I've been talking about that all week. I got a million posts on Twitter right now, on Instagram, showing you examples of how people have started businesses. We got an earnable program. It's closing tomorrow, iwt.com/earn. So instead, I want to talk tonight about Ramit's 3 rules of starting a business. 3 rules I have found to be very helpful. And then I want to answer questions. Now, last night, many of you, in fact, the number 1 topic actually, beyond my topic, seemed to be this bug that was multiple bugs that were crawling around, a little millipede or centipede or something. Now, I didn't know what to do. Okay, first of all, I live in a high-rise in Manhattan. We don't have bugs. They don't exist. The doormen don't allow them in. I don't know. I guess we paid the premium price for the no-bug building. So we don't have bugs. I had 3 bugs in a total of many years. So imagine my surprise as here I am trying to impart my knowledge, trying to do my part to help the world. And I see 600 legs walking past me, just casually walking past me. I don't know what to do. Do I kill this thing? No, that would be wrong. Also, I don't want to touch that thing. Do I just say the show must go on? Not with that many legs walking around. So I found this. It's a what is this? Some kind of saucepan.
Maybe you make eggs in it.
I don't know what it is. So you guys saw last night, it's on video, it's on my YouTube channel. I moved like a savage. You know, the athleticism was unparalleled. I got up, no screams, just pure focus. I covered this guy with this thing. And it sat here all night on the floor. And Cass and I said this morning, you know, let's put a piece of paper under it and take him outside and let him rejoin nature. Of course, Cass did it. I was just watching. And she puts the paper, and remember, we've been tiptoeing around this thing all day because it's in the middle of this walkway. Cass lifts it up. There's no bug inside.
Wow.
This guy, what happened to him?
He escaped?
Was he even in there?
I don't even know. He's gone. He booked it. Felt 20 legs.
20 legs. He just said, he's like, I'm out of here later. So all the preparation,
All the highs and lows.
yeah, there was a lot. It all was for naught. And actually, this is quite the elusive artist. In fact, we had our first friend named, what was it, Herbert?
Yeah, Herbert.
You know what this guy's name was last night?
What?
Houdini. We don't know if he was ever here or not. Who knows? So Houdini, we will see you again one day. But I guess that day is not today. Now, some rules for business.
Hand sanitizer.
I already did it. I did my hand sanitizer already. Keep your eye on the ball, babe. All right?
I'm managing this crazy
showbiz,
group.
okay? All right. Before I get to my 3 rules of business, let's give a big shout out to Cass at Next Level Wardrobe. She's been filming every night since we started. She did not know this was going to happen because even I didn't know it was going to happen until I decided to do it. And she's a trooper, showing up every night, using these video contraptions, and awesome work. So
Thanks.
At Next Level Wardrobe, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Some people have asked me about my fashion, for me to talk about that. Actually, they always ask this one question: what brand is that sweatshirt? I'm like, oh God, that's not the point. We'll do the fashion thing one of these days, okay? If you guys want to talk about fashion, we can talk about fashion. Cass, maybe we'll bring you out.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. And
Lay some knowledge down.
all right. And then suddenly she goes, get out of here. This is my show now. I'm taking over. Let's talk about the core colors. Okay, so Ramit's 3 rules to starting a business. What do you guys think they're going to be? Let me guess what. Someone's going to guess, do your research. Someone's going to guess, make sure your conversion rate is above 0.75%. You know, no, those are not my rules. My number 1 rule is it has to make money. This is number 1. Because if you do something that you enjoy doing, but you can't quite monetize it, that's awesome. There's no problem with it, but that's a hobby, not a business. And I see this so much with beginning entrepreneurs. One of the best examples is we have college graduates, they graduate, first thing they do is they go, you know what? I gotta start a business to help college kids do, and I'm like, stop right there. When you were in college, did you pay for anything? They're like, no, I stole music, I stole everything. I'm like, so would you have paid for financial advice? They're like, this is what they say. Yeah. If you have 10 syllables in your answer, that's one word. Yeah. That's a no, okay? You would not have paid for financial advice in college. You didn't even show up to class half the time. Let's be honest. So if your market is bad, if they don't have the ability or willingness to pay, if they don't pass the pay certainty technique, if you've just picked something that's so obscure, nobody cares. You would still do it, but it's a hobby, not a business. So Ramit's rule number 1 of business, it's gotta make money, okay? Rule number 2, forget scale, at least at first. Scale is something you hear a lot in Silicon Valley. Is it gonna scale? How's it gonna scale? And Silicon Valley does what Silicon Valley does very well. They build businesses that scale, at least the ones that are successful. But if you're watching this, odds are you have thought about starting a business for something that is what others would call a lifestyle business. That typically means venture investors are not interested in investing. Even if you're making 10 million bucks a year, they don't want to invest unless you have the potential to make 100 million and potentially scale it to IPO, okay? The vast majority of people I speak to who are interested in starting a business do not want to go that route. They want to start a business, make a few $100,000, maybe the aggressive or assertive ones want to make $1 million+ a year, and they want to have staff, but manageable staff, and they want to just run it, right? Whether it's a coaching business, whether it's packaging up templates, whatever. They're like, yeah, high profits, control my time, great. In order for that to happen, one of the things I recommend, my rule number 2, is forget scale, at least at first. And what that means is, instead of building all this infrastructure and thinking, oh my God, how's this gonna make $100 million? Don't dream about making $100 million. Make $1,000 first, okay? This means you get on the phone with customers, everyone who buys from you, offer to call them up, chat, say, how'd you find me? How can I help? What should I make more of? Everyone who subscribes to your email list, send them an email. Hey, notice you joined. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Yes, this is really coming from me. What can I do to help you more? I did this until I had thousands of subscribers, okay? And many of you know, if you write to me, I write you back, whether it's DM, email, Twitter, etc. So you can still do that as you grow. There comes a certain point where you will want to scale. And this happened for me when we had, I would say, hundreds of customers. Hundreds that were paying, like $500 or $1,000 each. And suddenly we were like, wait a minute, this can actually be a lot bigger than we realized. If we got 100 customers, then we can get 500. Oh, we got 500. What if we got 5,000? And suddenly we had to start building infrastructure and staff, systems. Now people need to know who's owning what and what's the project management and on and on and on. But had I started there and saying I need to build all this infrastructure and project management, I would have done everything except the most important thing, which is get customers. So Ramit's rule number 2 is forget scale, at least at first. Ramit's rule number 3, what do they get? It's funny that most beginning entrepreneurs are so focused on themselves. I don't have an idea. Will I be able to scale it? I don't want to have to hire a big staff. Beginning entrepreneurs are so concerned with themselves that they forget to think about the first person that actually matters, which is not you, it's your customer. What do they get? zoom out and ask yourself, who are these people? Why are they coming to you? And fundamentally, what do they get? Do you think people come and buy my book just because they get the automation system from chapter 5 or the script from chapter 1 and 2, right? Or the asset allocation stuff in chapter 7? No, they do not. Yes, that's a byproduct, and yes, that's nice, but they come because they want their money to go where it's supposed to go. And that is really important to understand. Where's this book I have sometimes? Oh. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. No guilt, no excuses, no BS. Just a 6-week program that works. And if you open it up, for those of you who haven't seen the new edition, this is my favorite, one of the favorite updates in the book. Look at these pictures. Amazing pictures and stories of people who used the book and created their rich life. That is what they come for, because they want to be that. They want to have negotiated a $10,000 raise. They want their investments to have grown tremendously, etc. So it's really important for you to understand, if you are a personal stylist like Cass, they don't come to you for a shirt, and they don't come to you for you to tell them what brand to buy. Even if that's what they say, they don't come to you for that. If you are selling like a food business, you're teaching people how to cook, the number one question you're gonna get until the end of time is, what's the recipe? They don't care about the recipe. If you give them the recipe, they will say thank you, they'll feel good, and you'll never hear from them again. So you need to understand why they are actually coming to you. Only then can you give them the recipe, which they want, but you can then deliver what they actually need. Okay? So with I Will Teach You to Be Rich, people read the book because they want their money to go, and ultimately they want to feel safe, secure, and some growth oriented. Okay? I was speaking to somebody today, and he was telling me about a 76-year-old man that he knows who has a financial advisor and has a bunch of annuities. Okay? Annuities can work this much of the time, but most of the time they're a scam. And they are a scam because you're paying tremendous fees to an unscrupulous financial advisor who is selling you these things, and you don't need to be paying these fees. They do nothing. All they do is put money in the advisor's pocket, okay? This person, if he understood the difference between annuities and index funds, he would realize that he's paid, I don't know his net worth, but probably $50,000 to $150,000 in unnecessary fees over his lifetime. That's a lot of money. But most investors, you would think that they want to make money. That's why they're investing. Wrong. Most investors, what do they actually want? They want to feel smart. So that is why many of them will hire some unscrupulous advisor to compliment them, to send them tickets to the ball game twice a year, and they feel smart and they can take their friends and say, look at these seats I got. But if they actually ran down the math, they would realize those seats each cost me $15,000 in fees. This is really deep psychology stuff. Most people, when they're investing, do not actually want the best returns. They want to feel safe. They want to like the person who's selling it to them, and they want to feel smarter than their neighbor. So you need to understand that, and then you can decide how you want to approach it. So that's Ramit's rule number 3 of business. What do they get? Make sure you understand it, and it will take you years, but understand it. Now we're going to get to some questions. Do people have questions about the rules of business? Cass.
All right, first question. What about a business that would not have repeat customers? Is that still worth it?
Most businesses don't have repeat customers. This is really important to know. One of the authorities on this is Kevin Hillstrom. He's amazing. And what he talks about is there are a few companies that have true loyalty. Starbucks has true loyalty. People are going there 20 times a month. Walmart has true loyalty. The vast majority of businesses do not. And this is super hard for people to fathom. It's so hard because in marketing, what do we hear? We hear it's cheaper to service your existing customers than to acquire new customers. That may be true, but the amount of people who become repeat customers in most businesses is tiny. And you can find the math of this with Kevin Hillstrom and others, but that repurchase rate for most customers is tiny. To give you an example that's more intuitive, think about Honda. You love Honda, Indian people. All you know is Honda Accord and Toyota Camry. You love it. But how often do you buy? Once every 10 years? Are you considered loyal? So that is an extreme version of most customers are actually not loyal. They will buy, but they will also buy from other companies, and they likely will not repurchase from you. At least not in any conceivable time period. So what is the implication for you? The implication is you need to think about your pricing. You also need a massive amount of new customers. Now, this is a great question, and the answer is very counterintuitive. It flies in the face of what most people think about marketing and logic as it relates to business. So yes, it is still worth it. You need to make sure that you can acquire a lot of customers at a relatively low cost. And over time, you need to make sure you dial your numbers in so you can scale it if that's what you choose. But great question. And the counterintuitive answer is that most businesses do not have loyal customers.
So this is a question for you from me. In the beginning, how did you get your customers?
How did I get my customers?
Yeah.
Well, I started off doing like a little coaching. I remember helping people find their dream job with business stuff. Oh, sorry, let me zoom back. When I was in college, I remember I had jobs all over the place. So I worked with Seth Godin, who I cold emailed. I worked at a tech company. I worked at Sun Microsystems. And then I started doing a little consulting for a couple of venture firms. I was teaching them how YouTube worked. This is way back in the day. After I graduated, I did a startup, and I needed to generate money because we were paying ourselves basically nothing. So I took on some clients. You know, I was writing a blog. I'd been writing it for a while, and I think I just mentioned, like, if anyone's looking for some advice on X, and I talked about just that. As my first kind of real customers for an online product was in 2006 when I rolled out a $5 ebook. And I thought nobody would buy this thing. That's why I didn't set up any fulfillment. I just had a PayPal button. And I'd been writing for a long time. So it turns out, just like this, if people tune in a lot, whether it's to a blog, an Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and they like what you have to say, if you sell something, some of them might buy it. Turns out they did. And that sort of opened my eyes to what I could do in terms of new products, price points, and things like that. So that's how I did it.
Great. Let's see. Next question. How do you build trust and authority?
Wow. Okay, great question. I'm really glad to hear this question because many people I hear from are really concerned that there's no way for them to stand out. If you're a personal trainer or you're trying to talk about business, how do you stand out? So my answers may seem, well, let me just tell you some of my answers. My first thing is I want you to look at the companies who you trust. And I want you to really break down why you trust them. Here's an example. Amazon, you trust them, at least I trust them, because if I order something from them, it's going to come on time, every time, no problem. That's it. Notice that they don't have the best customer service. What do I mean by that? If I call up like a super high-end place, they're gonna take care of me, they're gonna give me a nice cup of coffee, etc. Amazon, they don't even want you to call them. It's all through email. So we have to really untangle what we trust about Amazon. Also notice Amazon is not always the cheapest. Very important for everyone. I see a lot of businesses right now discounting themselves as if that's going to save them. And I would say that's probably not the right approach for many, not all, but many businesses. If you look at McDonald's or Starbucks, you trust them because every time you go there, it's the same. Okay? So that's a different reason for trust. If you're watching this right now, you trust me because maybe you've seen some of the results that I've gotten from my students. Maybe I've just been I've just been around for a long time, so you've seen my emails, my Instagram, my videos, whatever. You've seen me in the press maybe, so you should break down why you trust me there. As for trust and credibility, the truth is you got to show people that you actually know what you're talking about. That's why one of the things I encourage people to do when you're starting out is to take on some clients, even for free, because it doesn't matter how much you make with your first few clients. The money's irrelevant. Getting that experience, building a portfolio, that is going to allow you to work your way up the value chain and show people you know what you're talking about. Finally, I want to recommend a book. One is, a book is called The Trusted Advisor. Love that book. And then there's something called The Strategy of Preeminence by one of my mentors, Jay Abraham. And I really love it because it shows you how to bend over backwards and put your customer at the center of your world. In our business, that means we have 100% refund policies on almost everything, including earnable. You join, you get the entire program, and if you don't love it, after 60 days, show us you did the work, we'll refund you the money. Simple as that. So there are lots of things you can do, but most importantly, you need to create something people want.
Do you think a brand and branding are important in the beginning?
Oh, okay. I used to think, no way, that's stupid. Now I think most of the time it's stupid, but there are reasons for it. I think if you are in an industry that brand is primary, that it can make a lot of sense. If you're doing handbags, for example, Cass, you've taught me a lot about the retail business. You were in the retail business for 15 years. If you have a handbag and you're trying to compete with every other handbag out there, you got to have a brand that looks and feels compelling. And that's important. I think that sometimes a lot of people play business. They have a great website. Like a lot of the websites they see out there look better than mine. They have amazing photography. They're doing photo shoots every 4 weeks. If you're a coach doing a photo shoot every 4 weeks, that's a huge red flag. Like big, big. If you have like 1,000 photos and you're never wearing the same clothes once, that's a big red flag, okay? Because like coaches who are busy I don't know. I don't even want to get into it. Just be careful if you're taking photos every 2 weeks. I do think there's a bare minimum, but I remember when I started out, I was like, I don't care what this site looks like. I'm just going to write awesome stuff. So I want everyone to think brand matters, yes, but quality of content, quality of results, frequency, reach, all those things matter too. I do think people tend to over-index on brand, at least in the online world sometimes.
How do you know when your copywriting is good enough to pursue clients? Thank you.
I love this question. Okay, one of the things that we talk about, we have a copywriting course called Call to Action. And if you I think it's open, but if it's not, DM me and I'll get you a link to join. Call to Action, what we talk about in the entire sales page, a sales page for a copywriting product better be good. Okay, it better be good because you're showing some of your best skills and flexing. One of the key concepts in that call to action sales page, which is probably 40 or 50 pages long, is that when you write sales copy, you're not doing it to be a copywriting artist. No, the vast majority of people who want to learn copywriting are doing it so they can be good enough and then move on. And to me, that's exciting. I want to know how to be good enough to be functional and move on. Okay, I'm talking about for most business owners. Now, if you love writing and you want to study the greats, awesome. But that's more than most. With copywriting, you know it's good enough if, number one, it is authentic. It's what you would say out loud, okay? It's not full of hyperbole. It's not full of marketese. In a day and age of technology, it's critical that we understand the ramifications of our actions. Shut up. That's not copy. That's marketese. If you would say it out loud to a friend, so it's authentic. And number two, it is honest. It's honest because it doesn't overpromise. If anything, it underpromises. And number three, if it sells. So you could have a really authentic thing that's really honest and it just sucks because you're writing about something nobody cares about. If you have 1, 2, and 3, you're good enough. If you want to know how to do it, join Call to Action.
Which questions to ask existing customers to understand what they really want?
Ooh.
Good
It's a
question.
great question. Yeah, what's going on? Last night we talked about all these amazing stories. There are like 2 questions. I spent more time chasing bugs than I did answering questions. Tonight everyone was, I guess they're just holding it in. Thanks, guys.
Feeling it.
All right. What's the question again? I got too excited.
Which questions to ask existing customers to understand what they really want?
So first of all, get them on the phone. I know millennials, you're so afraid of the phone. I don't care. Get over it. Ask them, do you mind if we spend 15 minutes or so? I just love to know how you found us, why you chose us, and if there's anything else we can do to help you. Set the context. And the general questions you want to ask are, how did you hear about us? And really dig in there. If they're like, I found you on Google. What'd you search for? Why that? Did you find anybody else? Did you look at them? Why did you decide to go deeper on our site? Okay, cool. Like tell me about your journey through our site. Did you, join our email list? How'd you hear about this program? How long have you been on the list? Of course, you should have already known most of this on your end, looking through your ESP data, but you'll discover that sometimes people don't know. Somebody told me they saw me on some TV show I've never been on. So it's interesting to hear that they thought that. Somebody else told me they bought my book at Walmart. I asked my agent, are we at Walmart? She's like, no. She means Target, but she doesn't remember correctly. I was like, got it. Ask them why they chose you versus other people. Ask them what their hesitations were. Ask them, what did you feel as you were deciding? Feel. You want to know, like, were they indecisive? Were they scared? Were they excited? Like, I had no fear. I was ready to go. And then ask them, what else can I create to help you even more? You do those things, you're going to have such a rich picture of what your customer wants and what you can do to help them.
All right. Okay, just reading through. Just a minute.
Okay. While you're reading, let me add a bonus rule. Ramit's bonus rule of business is, what do I get? What do I get? If your business becomes successful, what do you, the business owner, what do I, the business owner, get? Do I get to pick up my kid from school every day? Do I get to work out with a personal trainer 4 times a week? Cass and I, we are both business owners. We decided we want to travel 6 weeks a year. And so that means in order for that to happen, we need to be on point. Our businesses need to be growing. We need to hit these numbers, but that's what we get. I say this because for the first few years of my business, I didn't ask this. I never thought of this question. And so business just took on a life of its own, and it just kind of consumed all the oxygen. If you don't stop and say, why am I working so hard? What am I going to actually get out of this? Then I find a lot of business owners, particularly in their late 40s, early 50s, who are kind of burned out because they've worked, they've built all this stuff, but they forgot to build the muscle of living outside of the business. Travel, children, charity, whatever the case is, what do I get? And make that a priority. All right.
What does your team do? Who was your first team member?
So my team is amazing. The IWT team is remote all over the country. We have team members who work in everything from marketing automation, customer service, we call them student success. We have product, we have project management, we have engineering, we have my assistant Jill, who I've worked with a long time. We have operations, and a variety of different divisions that are all contributing in this beautiful team to creating what we do. And that is why these videos are like very casual, and the videos you see that are released by IWT are like high, they got all the lighting and all that stuff. So you can see it takes a lot to make me look that good, and that is the work of the IWT team. All right. So my first hire was a part-time assistant. And when I hired this part-time assistant, I believe 10 hours a week, I was young. I was in my early 20s. And I remember a number of friends said to me, like, basically, you're trying to show off. And I was like, dude, like, to tell someone you have an assistant, if you're 25 or something, it sounds a little weird, but I was like, dude, once you have to write a paycheck every 2 weeks, you realize it's not about bragging anymore. The ego stuff goes away. I'm just doing it so I can be really productive. That was my first hire, and then went on from there and hired many more people.
When should I start a legal entity, the LLC?
I find people worry about legal stuff way too much. Like I have people who are like, oh, I haven't started because I've been researching it for 3 years. LLC, S Corp. I'm like, dude, why do you care about that? You should be worrying about finding customers. They are so risk averse that they think that the legal thing is the thing stopping them. So I'm not a lawyer and you should consult one and all that stuff. But if you want to get an LLC, it's like $50 and it takes an hour. Just do it. Really, most people are using it as an excuse to avoid finding customers, which is way harder and way more important.
How do you keep your ideas fresh?
Look what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm building a muscle every night of showing up and talking about something new. And that is a muscle that you activate. I keep it fresh by doing things like this, by talking to my team. I read a ton. And most importantly, I'm getting feedback from customers and readers all the time. Why do you guys think I'm always saying on Instagram, DM me, leave a comment? I'm telling people on our email list of hundreds of thousands, right back. All that comes to me. And so I constantly know, what are people talking about? What are the phrases they're using? And because I love what I do, that's exciting. It's not overwhelming. And so that is how I stay fresh and try to stay relevant.
What can I say to my wife so that we can work on Earnable together? I can't read the whole question, but basically she has a side gig and mentioned she wants to grow her business.
Oh my God, amazing. So okay, I love this question because when we did a weight loss course many years ago, we were testing it for 3 years, and we discovered that there were people who joined and they were like, I am ready. They would show up for our private videos every week, and we would ask them, how's it going? And they would say, it's great. Then the next week we'd ask them and they're like, yeah, I came, I was really motivated last week, and then I sat down and my husband said to me, when are you gonna eat with the kids like a good mom would? Or vice versa, okay? And it was heartbreaking because these people had like really summoned the courage to join a program. They were consistently losing weight, but their spouses or their partners or their parents were sabotaging them. And most of the people who were in those situations never succeeded. It is really hard to succeed if the people around you are actively sabotaging you or just passively not supporting you. So I'm so glad you asked this question. I'm gonna give you 2 answers. The first is I have an FAQ. It's in our emails we've been sending out this week for Earnable with a specific question of how do I convince my partner, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend to like come along for the ride or give me permission to do this. That's number 1, check the FAQ out. Number 2 is, I'm gonna give you the short answer here, and that is that you wanna start by asking lots of questions. Just like I talk about in chapter 9 of my book, Money and Relationships. You wanna ask them, I've been thinking about starting a business on the side. Like, I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it would work, but if I did it, what advice would you give me? Notice this verbal judo, where instead of saying, I want to start a business, will you support me? Please! You've actually said, I don't know if this thing's gonna work. You're being vulnerable. But if I had to, what advice would you give me? You're putting them on a pedestal, and the truth is they're your partner. You should respect what they have to say. I ask Cass a lot, what advice do you have? I'm kind of stuck on this. How should I think about it? Even for some of these fireside chats. I don't know, this seems kind of lame. What should I do? So you engage them, right? And then the second thing is if you want her to do it with you, then it would be important to paint a picture of where you're going. You could say something like this. You could say, how do you feel about your business right now? And she'll say something and you listen. You say, if we fast forward 6 months or 12 months from now, where do you think that business is? What would be the best what would be the worst case? I guarantee you she's never actually thought like that. Most people catastrophize. They think of the worst case. They never actually think of the best case. So play them both out. Then you say, you know, what if there was something that could help us? Would we get a book or a program if it could help us? And then, you know, because she's talked about the best case, suddenly you have a place that you can refer to. Yeah, I'd get a book or I'd get a program. I'd consider it. I'd want to look into it. And then you say, you know, what if we did it together? Like, to me, that would be so exciting for us to set some time every week, quality time, that we could both work on it. And I would need your help, because sometimes I don't focus that much, but I would need your help, and I would be here to support you as well in whatever way I could. What do you think? Like, I would love to do that with you. Totally different and totally more persuasive and together than, I'm gonna buy this thing, are you okay with it? So that is how I would do it.
Just a side note, I think we need to do a fireside chat about partners and money, or partners in business, because there's some strong comments in here. Like, this one woman said, I told my BF I want to do my online biz full time, and he laughed. It hurt so much.
Yeah. We should do one about like basically cruel partners and what to do about it.
Yeah.
And the end conclusion will be everybody break up with them. It's basically going to be subreddit relationships, and everyone's going to end up single after this. How do you become single right now if you're living with someone?
Oh my God, that's probably a whole other topic.
We kick them to the curb, and then they're like, it's like kicking them out into Outbreak. It's like, good luck, see you later. Tough. They look outside as like the smoke covers up the windows, and they're like, bye. And you're like, my destiny is to be an entrepreneur, not to be saddled down with your baggage. And then you close the door. This would be a great YouTube video.
Okay.
All right.
One more.
All right.
On the relationship front, my partner and I want to start a distillery, but also a family in the next 5 years. Is it realistic and possible to do both?
Let me give you both answers. So I think that it will probably be pretty hard. I think, you know, starting a business together is pretty hard. I don't know about distilleries. I don't know anything about that. But I would imagine it's a pretty tough business, and it would probably be easier if you just have full-time jobs. On the other hand, you know, Cass, you and I have talked a lot about why we are both so thankful that we have built some of the habits we have now, because they'll be with us forever. So some of the habits we talk about are the habit of fitness. Now we've built that when it's easier, right? When we don't have kids. And so we know if and when we have kids that we know how the fitness and food game works. Same for business. We've built that business, and we can only imagine how much harder it would be if we were to do it with kids. So that is my message, which is like, is it possible? Yeah. Is it going to be hard? Yes. If you make it work, could it be life-changing? It has for us. Yeah. And then if it fails, what's the worst? The advice I got when I was considering not working at Google and going to do my own thing was, a lot of my mentors were like, yeah, if this thing doesn't work out, you can always go back. And that really moved me, because a lot of decisions, if it doesn't work out, you can go back. So that is how I would think about it. Don't think about the worst that could happen. Also think about the best that can happen. All right, so tonight I was supposed to come out here and talk about what do you do, how can you start a business, but I've already been telling you guys about that. You saw the example with my mom. Did you guys see that example? So many people. Oh, Ramit, I can't start a business. I don't have a SQL certification. What do you think? I'm like, how about I show you my mom cooking chicken curry? How about that?
Wow.
Anyway, people did love that story. There's nothing as relatable as a mom cooking Indian food or any kind of food. I mean, it was amazing. So, and Cass, you were there with her.
That was fun.
That was amazing. And then we ate all the food afterwards. It was so cool.
Yeah,
so if you guys didn't see, I don't know, if you guys didn't see it, the story's gone, too bad. But my mom cooked food, and I wrote her, or Eventbrite wrote her a check for $1,773. I was so happy to send her the check. Like, that's amazing. Your retired mom gets a new chapter of her life. That's amazing. Now imagine you could do the same thing, whether it be with cooking, cutting hair, lesson plans for kids, whatever. That is what we are teaching in Earnable. iwt.com/earn. That closes tomorrow. So if you have even thought about it, I want you to go to that page. And if it's the right choice for you, join. Remember, it has a guarantee as well, and it's a killer program. These are tonight and every night. I do these fireside chats, and I post them on YouTube. If you want me to do more of these, send me topic ideas. I think, Cass, you pointed out a really good one with relationships.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that. And then I think people want to see you in front of the camera. What do you say, Cass?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so what are you going to talk about?
Style.
Okay.
Marriage.
Yeah. Are you going to do one like 50 things I love about Ramit?
Yeah, actually 100 things.
100?
Yeah.
That's going to be a 24-hour marathon. If everybody wants to see 100 things I love about Ramit, please.
Move over, DJ Nice. Cass is in here.
You know what? The minute you got in front of this camera, the number of viewers would like triple. So I need to just give up my throne, such as it is, and just be like, here you go. Can you grow the number of followers?
Wait, maybe we should let's ask. So do you guys think we should do one together about either relationships or money to business owners? What do you guys think?
What are we going to talk about?
Well, let's see what they say.
Now I'm getting nervous. Unless you guys want to talk about the amazing financial model that we built. If you want to talk about that, we can talk tactics all day long.
If you guys want to talk feelings, let me know.
Oh, God. I don't even want to be here for that one. No,
Okay, yes, we got a few yeses.
I'm told, one of my friends who might be watching tonight, you know who you are. We've met at the coffee shop many times, and you post things with your dog. You know who I'm talking about. She told me, Ramit, I hate to say it, but you became a lot more likable after you got married. I was like, hey, what kind of thing is that to say?
Wait, let me flip.
Babe, oh my God. Oh, that's the first time you flipped on purpose this whole...
Yeah, wow. I learned you have to double tap the screen.
Okay.
Oh my God, someone said shave his arms live.
That will never happen. What? All right, it's really degenerating now. This is our longest one of all, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's a long one.
So what have we come to the conclusion of?
Oh, before you go, can you just repeat the 3 rules once more?
Yeah, my 3 rules. Wait, I gotta read it. Okay, Ramit's 3 rules of starting a business. Number 1, it has to make money. If it doesn't make money, it's nice, but it's a hobby. Number 2, forget scale, at least at first. And number 3, what do they get? Think about your customer and what they are actually coming to you for. All right, thanks everybody.